My scripture reading this morning is taken from the book of Luke, 17th chapter, the 5th through the 6th verse. And the apostles said unto the Lord, increase our faith. And the Lord said, if ye had faith as a grain of mustard seed, you might say unto this sycamore tree, be thou plucked up by the root, and be thou planted in the sea, and it should obey you. And thus is the scripture reading of St. Luke, 17th chapter, the 5th through the 6th verse. Again, I say unto you, good morning. I want to talk this morning about faith. And I know that we've heard this word so many times. I've spoken on it several times. And so I come again to you this morning to speak on faith. In my studies, in my learning, and in my experiences, I've come to know on this spiritual path there are three levels, as I say, to the kingdom that is within you. You remember, Jesus said the kingdom is within you. And I've come to experience, to know that there are three levels. First, there's the level of belief. We believe that there is a God. The second level is faith. We have faith that things will happen, or God will bless us with the things that we have asked for. And then there's the third level, the level of knowing. You see, when you get to this level of knowing, you have reached the top of the mountain. You are one with the source. Now I want to go back down and start with believing. Some folks believe, well, there's a lot of folks that believe that there is a God, and their believing is that God exists somewhere out in the sky, somewhere out in the world, somewhere that God is not a part of them, but they believe. Then there are those that have faith. Now, as the scripture just stated, if ye had faith as the size of a mustard seed, a grain of a mustard seed. I remember one day I was speaking basically on the same scripture. But there was someone in the congregation, bless their hearts, for whatever reason, had with them a mustard seed. And when they showed me that mustard seed, I didn't realize, didn't know how small that grain of mustard seed was. And I started to say to myself, you mean to tell me that my faith is not as big as this grain of mustard seed? I got to do some work. I got to work on this faith because it has to be bigger than the grain of a mustard seed. Of course, I had never tried to uproot a tree and have it moved and planted somewhere else. But I had did all that I knew to do to uproot things in my life and have them removed from me. But I found out that things weren't working too good because my faith was not as large as the grain of a mustard seed. So I had to go to work. I had to increase my faith. And that faith was not in my ability, but in the power of God within me. You see, we can have faith and accomplish a whole lot of things. And we can have faith, and there are some things that we seek to accomplish that does not come to fruition. And then we say, well, that doesn't work. That didn't work. So I'll abandon this and I'll go on to something else. But faith that scripture speaks about is the faith in the source, the God in you. And when you have achieved a certain level or measure of faith, then you see things start to happening in your life, within you. It first has to take place within you before it can manifest in your outer world. Then there is the top of the mountain, the third level of unfoldment, the consciousness of illumination. And it is that consciousness, that oneness of knowing. When you have gotten to that high pinnacle of knowing, you can say, as Jesus said, the Father and I are one. You have reached a level of knowingness that you know that everything that you stretch forth your hand, touch, and bless shall bless you in return. You have reached a level of knowingness that there is nothing to worry, nothing to fear. All the doubts, the frustrations, the disappointments are no longer a part of your consciousness because you dwell in that oneness of knowing that God is the source within you. Now, I know from past experiences there are some folks, many folks, that they can't see the God within them. You can't recognize the God within them. Many folks say, well, if God is within me, how come I am experiencing all of these difficulties and trials and things that I'm going through? Why is God allowing me? Well, that question can be twofold. Sometimes we don't listen. Sometimes we do not listen to that still small voice within. Sometimes we think it's me, it's mine, it's not God, it is me doing this. I'm the one that have to get up in the morning and go to work and do such and so in order to earn paycheck so that I can pay the bills, put food on the table, clothe the children. But there's one question that you should ask yourself. Who or what gave you the life to do what you are able to do? Well, if you say my parents gave it to me, my parents brought me into the world. Who brought them into the world? Who gave them the life? So we go from believing to having faith to knowing that you are the I am of God manifesting in and through a physical body. If you turn away from this truth of that which you are, you are turning away from the very life, the source that maintains and sustains you. And that doesn't mean that you're going to, as I said, drop dead today or tomorrow. It means that you will not be manifesting and demonstrating the fullness of life within you. And there will always be a need and a want that you will not be able to fulfill at that physical and personal level with the ego being in control. And yet, I have met many, know many, that do not want God to be a part of their lives. They don't want God intruding on the things that they do, that which they are. I remember telling a story sometime many years ago to a group of people. I said, you know, sometimes it's like people being home at night, and there comes a knock on the door, and folks get up and say, "Who is it?" And the voice on the other side of the door said, "It's Jesus." And that person said, "Jesus knocking on my door? Okay, hold on just a minute." And they get on the telephone and they call the police and they tell the police, "You need to come to my house. There's a man knocking on my door saying he's Jesus. You got to come and get him." How many times has Jesus knocked on your door, the door of your heart, and you refuse to open? How many times have you passed Jesus on the streets and refused to acknowledge the Spirit? How many times have you passed the beggar, the homeless on the street, looked the other way, crossed over to the other side because you didn't want to come in contact? How many times have you turned away from the Spirit of God that is within every man, woman, and child? You see, if it's beautiful, if it's fine looking, if it's fair, we are drawn and attracted to it. But if it's ugly, if it appears to be dismembered, if it appears to be homeless and begging, we don't want any part of that because that's not our interpretation. That's not our vision of what God is. You've heard me say many times, God manifests in and through many different shapes, sizes, and colors, forms. All that we see in and of the world is a manifestation and expression of God. In that which seems to be imperfect, there is perfection. The Spirit of God in everyone is a spirit of perfection, regardless of what the outer appearances may be. You know, sometimes folks look in the mirror themselves and say, "I don't like what I see. I don't like the way I look." Well, if you look beyond the physical expression and look a little deeper within yourself and recognize and know that that which you are seeing in the mirror is a manifestation and expression of the Spirit of God within you. People say, "I don't like myself." Well, you're also saying that you don't like God. Oh, that is the wrong thing to say because that which we see in the mirror is that which God has created. He didn't create your body. Your mother and father didn't create your body. The Spirit of God did it all. So we want to get to that higher state of consciousness where we know that everything that we are experiencing is God. We haven't, of our own selves, kept ourselves alive. Only by the Spirit of God that we are here. Only by the Spirit of God that we have life in our physical body. Only by the Spirit of God we are able to do, to have, and to be. Let us, as we continue the path, as we continue to walk, to grow, and to unfold, climb to the highest peak of the mountain, wherein we will reach a state of consciousness where we can say within ourselves, I know. And once you get to that state of consciousness where you can say with conviction, with truth, that you know nothing is hid from you, nothing is withheld from you. Because when you know that you have the power within you. I've said and will say many, many times in the past and many times to come, you're not going to find God outside of yourself. I don't care what church you attend, what your religious belief may be, how many sermons that you hear and listen, how many books you read. If you don't turn within and seek that kingdom that is within you, in this lifetime, you will never come to know God that has always been within you and will always be within you. I've shared the story many times. I went on a search for God. Started all as a little boy, and I want to just take a few minutes and share this with you. If you haven't heard it, I've shared with you as much of it as I can. I was about 14 or 15 years old. I was newspaper boy delivering papers. On Sunday morning, I think if I recall, this might have been back in 1958 or something like that, 57 and 58. Got up Sunday mornings to go to pick up my newspapers to deliver. And on the front page of the Sunday morning's paper, in great, big, bold types, it said, God is dead. When I read that, I said to myself, there's no use in me delivering papers. There's no use in me doing anything. God is dead. What's the purpose? So I didn't. I went straight back home to my mother. I was crying, disappointed. And my mother said to me, what's wrong with you? I said, the newspaper said that God is dead. And my mother said, "Boy, you don't believe that stuff, do you?" And I said, "That's what the newspaper said." Well, I didn't deliver papers. I just quit my route. I felt that there was nothing more to live for. God was dead. What's the purpose? But as time went on, I come to know that God was not dead. And so, as I got older, I started a search. I went everywhere I could go, where there were people talking about God that knew God, had confirmed that God was alive, has already been alive, always been. But in my search and running here, for and there, I came to realize that I was searching and seeking in the wrong places. It's only when I was told and taught to turn within, and there you will find God. So I did. I spent many years traveling to many places, trying to find God that was so elusive because I was looking in the wrong places. And a lot of times I was listening to the wrong voices outside of me. And the scripture states, be still and listen to the still small voice within you. And when I was able to quieten the mind to all the stuff that was bombarding the mind, worries and concerns about all the stuff that's going out here, when I was able to close my mind and my eyes to the things of the outer world and enter into that sacred place, as Jesus said, the kingdom within you, I came face to face with the source. I had found God right where God has always been. Oh, what a joy to know that I didn't have to run to and fro anymore, seeking for something that had always been right there within me. And that's what the masses of people have done, doing, and many will continue to do, looking outside of themselves for that which is within them. Climb the mountain. And I say, as I've said many times, and I say to myself, you have to transcend belief. You have to transcend faith. You have to come to that point in a consciousness where you know. And you can only know and experience that truth of God that is within you by going within, by turning off your thoughts, your concerns, your emotions about things that are happening in and of the world. Turn within to the truth, to that peace, to that joy, that harmony and happiness that is within you. God is ever ready to receive you into the fold that is within. And when you have turned within and be received into that fold, into that consciousness and that oneness, that spirit, then you will have the confirmation and the demonstration in your outer world. You will know, as it is said, taught, and known by all the great enlightened ones. It's all God. There is naught but God. God bless. Namaste.